What's your latest, I don't want to live on this planet anymore moment? I watched a school bus run a red light at a 6-lane across major intersection this afternoon. Spoke to one of my newer employees regarding issues with her work. That evening, I received an email from her father asking to meet with me because his 23-year-old daughter came home upset. I'm not kidding. I mentioned a professor's teaching style that I don't care for to my mother. She sent him an email and he brought it up with me later. Single most embarrassing point of my academic career. I told my dad in a letter when I was in basic that one of the drill sergeants, though great at his job, also scared the ever-loving crap out of me. I got called into the captain's office and they played a voicemail my dad had left where he said, "That drill sergeant has no decency and is a lousy excuse for a serviceman." Well, you can only imagine my horror as that particular drill sergeant sat there grinning like an oversized gorilla on smack. I work at a pet store. This lady came in with her son who couldn't be older than 5 or so. She asked if I could help them with a ball python. When I took it out, she was really excited to hold it and immediately kept telling her son how they were going to convince his dad to let them get it. Her son was clearly afraid of the snake, and she kept trying to get him to hold it. He kept telling her he was afraid that it will bite him. She tried to tell him that snakes don't bite, and turned to me wanting me to tell him the same thing. I told the boy, "While snakes can bite, ours are quite friendly and won't want to bite you if you hold them gently." His mum was furious that I wouldn't tell this kid that snakes can't bite. I tried to tell her why I can't lie, but she said it was unacceptable, and now I've scared her son for life. I suggested he hold a bearded dragon, and he loved it. I think he left happier than she did. 2 college students were standing in the middle of a busy road this morning talking to each other. They were nearly hit by every car, but didn't let that stop their conversation. This happened to me last summer. Was driving down a busy street with a friend in the car when suddenly 2 teen girls scampered across the street in between cars and directly inches in front of my moving vehicle. I slammed on the brakes, my friend and I sat in shocked silence for about 15 seconds, and the girls just kept on going like they hadn't had a near-death experience. After 15 seconds had elapsed, both of us in the car just started screaming hysterically. One of the phrases I screamed after, "I almost frickin' killed a human!" was, "You almost made me kill you, and then you don't even frickin' look at me!" Seriously, my whole alternate life path where the guilt from killing 2 kids flashed before my eyes and I was so fricking teed off on behalf of alternate universe me. F those people. Watch where the frick you're walking. I think we've all had those moments in life where an errant twitch could have got us or someone else killed, and they keep us up at night. Although admittedly, I have too many to count now. The comments on any CNN article make me want to give up living on this planet. The Daily Mail website for the UK. The comments section is ridiculous. Will the rest of the world please stop linking to them on Reddit? I kinda think YouTube has to be the worst. I watched a Minute Physics episode and the comments were full of people arguing about religion and the scientific inaccuracies of the video. The thing is, the episode was on balancing pencils. People got offended and got in arguments because of pencil balancing. This just happened at a somewhat nearby school to me. The school's soccer team duct-taped a kid who was on the spectrum that wanted to play soccer to a football goalpost. They all left the field and he was found 15 minutes later. Seriously, what the frick is wrong with people? Time to end the soccer season permanently for that team. The San Francisco 49ers fan that nearly beat a guy to death in the bathroom because he allegedly tapped on his shoulder to tell him the stall in front of him was open. They don't deserve to ever see the light of day again. Yesterday, a lady cut in front of me at the grocery store. I said, "Excuse me, there's a line," and she replied, "I'm pregnant, you understand?" What? To clarify, she wasn't that far along. If you looked at her, you'd have wondered if she were pregnant or just chunky. Then the 2 of you need to get to the back of the frickin' line. I was recently on a megabus from DC to New York, and a family with several young children was trying to find the last untaken seats. There was clearly a seat open, but when they asked the girl, she was like, "Sorry, I want to leave the seat open so I can sleep." The family was like, no, that's not how it works. They had to get the bus driver and bring him to the back. The lady said the same thing to the bus driver, and the bus driver was like, no, that's not how this works. So the kid ended up sitting next to this girl. How did she think this was going to slide? Oh, I have a story. Last year I went to a Penguins-Flyers hockey game. If you aren't aware, it's one of the biggest rivalries in all of hockey. I'm a Penguins fan and the game was in Philadelphia. The game was going great and the Penguins took the lead, and I was the only one cheering in my section. Some Flyers fans looked at me weird after that. Well, the game was over, Penguins win, and I'm going to the bathroom. The guys who were sitting in my section followed me in and they each punched me after getting my attention. Some other fans saw and called the police on them. There were 3 of them. I had a bloody lip and bruised left cheek. Oh, and the best part? I was only 17. I was out for a motorcycle ride yesterday. I stopped at the spot off the main road to stretch my legs a bit. Noticed in the bushes that there were bags and bags of garbage, all dumped in one spot. Not like a McDonald's bag that someone casually threw out their window, more like someone loaded up what could possibly be months' worth of household garbage and dumped them in the woods. People like that? Frick them. Some comments here have inspired me. I babysat 2 boys, 3 and 5 years old, and a girl, 2 years old, for a single mother this summer. The mother has no job. The mother has no income. I babysit, but I don't actually know what it's accomplishing while she's out most of the time. She lives in her parents' house, but they work full-time jobs, and is also on WIC vouchers. The government pays for her to get food for the kids. She doesn't have a skill that she practices, nor does she maintain any semblance of physical fitness. Her children are kept in a room starting anywhere from 9 p.m. if they make her mad, to midnight, and they're not allowed to exit the room until the mother wakes in the morning. The catch? The mother uses Facebook or Netflix until 3, 4, or 5 a.m. each night. She sleeps until at least 11 a.m. every day unless the children have an appointment in the morning. I want to confirm that this is sometimes over 12 consecutive hours of confinement that occurs more often than not. They're allowed to use the bathroom as long as they return to the room when they're done. I don't know what to do, so I take the kids on walks. They are ecstatic just walking down the sidewalk for a few blocks and coming right back with no stops along the way. And I play games with them while I take care of them. Once I asked the 5-year-old if he'd like to eat breakfast with me at 10 a.m. He was just coming out of the bathroom. His response of, "I think I have to wait for everyone to wake up," indicates to me that he believes his confinement is normal. He went back into the room and I didn't see him for the next couple of hours. He eats dinner at the same time his grandparents eat, which is between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. almost every night. I'm so confused about this, I don't even know what's bothering me the most. Went hiking this weekend in Rocky Mountain National Park. A lot of things about people there annoy me. The list includes feeding wildlife cheese puffs, walking on the tundra that multiple signs clearly say to keep off, initials carved into aspen trees, and stopping their cars in the middle of the road on the peak of a mountain. That kind of thing makes me so angry. I once saw a guy offer an ostrich a lit cigar at the zoo after already feeding it chips, so the ostrich obviously thought that the cigarette was food too. I was so appalled that anyone could imagine that was acceptable behavior. I just don't understand how anyone could do anything like injure animals, damage nature, or litter. I saw someone post an article on Facebook about how Ebola was Obama's revenge against white people for slavery. And all of these people commenting, "Oh my god, it makes sense." A disease outbreak in Africa which is killing African people is a revenge against white people. And Obama made it happen. I think my brain is bleeding from the amount of stupid there. Obviously, a bunch of these stories are quite dated, but yeah, wow. I suspect that a lot of people with these theories went on to vote for the next guy in the White House. Last Saturday, I was walking along a vacant sidewalk when I was approached by a middle-aged couple. They were in jogging suits and walking considerably faster than I, so I moved to the grass to give them space. When they got closer, the woman started yelling at me that I wasn't far enough out of the way. I apologized, only to be intentionally clipped by the man following her and landing on my back. I got back up and laughed it off, only to hear the man yelling, "You're not the only one in this city, butthole." At that point, I was pretty amazed at how somebody can be that angry at someone they don't know. I hadn't said anything to them to start. Oh my god! Something similar happened to me once. I was walking down the sidewalk headed south and texting my sister, glancing up every few seconds to see what I was headed for. I look up and 2 guys on bikes were riding straight toward me, so I step onto the grass so they can get by. As they ride past me, one of them yells that I need to watch where I'm going. What the frick? So I yelled back that they shouldn't be riding their frickin' bikes on the sidewalk. Almost 4 years later, and I remember exactly every detail of that moment. I'm still mad just thinking of it. So I live near a family that's just horrible. They locked their young son outside their house because he's annoying as frick and they're horrible parents. I'm walking outside and he's in their open garage. He has a bottle in his hands. I get closer. He's about to spray weed killer in his mouth. He does it before I rush in. I pound the door with the kid under my arm. The mum gives me a what the frick look and I scream about her kid eating poison. She rushes to the car and they drive off. I saw some guy trying to grab a duck at my local zoo. He's throwing it food and when it came near, he tried to grab it. This happened several times before I told him to stop. His friend immediately butts in and asks why I'm being such a butthole. Apparently me telling the guy he shouldn't grab the duck is the greater offense than actually trying to grab the duck. Fortunately, my wife pulled me away. Probably the best thing since I'd already stopped him from continuing his attempted duck molestation, and we were already close to a physical confrontation. Some buttholes broke into the zoo earlier this week and stole a flamingo. By the time someone found the flamingo, it was so severely injured that it had to be euthanized. I freaking hate people. You can submit your own stories to be featured here on the channel. The story submission link is in the description below. And if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out easymode, also linked below, and subscribe. I got shoulder checked by a C-word in a suit, walking down with his two mates 3 abreast down the pavement. I was walking slowly down the inside, left-hand side of the pavement. We drive on the left in Australia, so I was following the road rules. Left lane is the slow lane. That was nasty, but why was I walking slowly? 8 months preggers. Bump like a beach ball. Mr. C-word in a suit didn't think I was far enough out of his way. I cried out when he hit me, and one of his mates turned around and got a shocked look on his face when he saw his scumbag friend has just shoulder-charged a preggers woman. But he didn't stop. Luckily, I was outside a little shop, and the Vietnamese lady running it came racing out just as I fell over crying. She gave me a cold water and had me sit down until I calmed down a bit. What a fricking tunt that bloke was. I just know karma's gonna bite him in the tush big time. No one that crappy gets far in life. Reading YouTube comments. I think there's a general rule not to read the comments on YouTube unless you want to feel like punching something. You should try Yahoo. You'll be mad and confused. Last week, a man in a car in front of me threw a full-sized Pringles can out of his window and almost hit my car. First of all, how lazy do you have to be to fricking litter? Second of all, why would you be eating a full-sized can of Pringles while driving? Once you pop. My husband eats a full-sized can of Pringles every time we drive somewhere more than an hour away. I try to get him to eat the snack size, but no dice. 'Cause he's a real man. Well, not if his hand fits inside a Pringles can. I had that moment when I learned how people actually spend thousands of dollars and get all territorial in Second Life. Apparently, some people take this crap seriously. Wait. Second Life is still on? You should see the crap that happens in EVE Online. People have gone as far as physically cutting opponents' power lines and sending working girls to high-ranking fleet members as a bribe. This isn't recent, but this is what happened when I first experienced how society is. I was 10 or 11 years old and I'd just come home from playing soccer with a kid from our neighborhood. Before I can walk inside the door, my grandma stopped me and told me that I have to take a shower and do a small puja before walking in because the kid I was playing with was son of the family who makes a living by cleaning houses. My grandma was treating them as untouchables. Made me realize how illogical she is. A couple of months ago when I stopped 2 guys, one in their early 20s, the other closer to 50, dragging an 18-year-old girl into a taxi while she tried to pull away from them. When I confronted them, I was beaten pretty hard and then pushed in front of a car. No broken bones, but it was doing about 25 miles per hour and the road rash sucked. But it drew enough of a crowd that she got away. Screw those 2 guys and the taxi driver that seemed to think it was acceptable. I still have nerve damage in my left hand from that fricking car. Also, the girl is fine. I still talk to her. She recovered well. No, she is not my girlfriend. I already had and continue to have one. They're good friends as well, though. A woman changed her baby on the table of the busy restaurant I work in. Seriously, what the frick? People eating their lunch don't want to see your poopy, naked child. I've had to get managers to explain to customers that changing a dirty diaper in the middle of a restaurant is unsanitary way more times than I should have to. I'm so glad that I no longer wait at tables. Please tell me that someone actually threw her out. We didn't need to, she actually paid up and left pretty soon afterwards. She seemed genuinely surprised at the amount of people staring in disgust that I think it made her uncomfortable. Good. Look, being a new parent is hard and I'm all for people being able to feed their babies in any given public setting. But yeah, maybe keep the fecal matter away from food. I think this lady maybe just needed a reminder rather than the vitriol and exile that some of the commenters seem to think she deserves. Every time I see a driver signal to change lanes and the guy 5 car lengths behind him speeds way the frick up to stop him from moving over. If you're reading this and you do that, F you. Every time I drive a car. I clicked on a link to a GIF of a man cutting the tip of his eggplant off. Went to the local market and noticed this dog, a miniature Doberman, waiting by the door when I went in. I finished in the market. On my way out, I noticed it was following people around, very submissive and timid-like, with its tail between its legs. Then the people just motioned or kicked him away. He just sat in the middle of the parking lot, looking very confused. Another person was putting their groceries in the car next to me, saw the dog and said, "I've seen that dog wandering the neighborhood. It's sad. I think it was abandoned." Just as she said that, here comes the local idiot in a pickup truck, sees the dog in the middle of the road, steps on the gas and hits it. It happened so quick. After the pickup hit Charlie, he just sat there confused. I called to him. He came to me with his tail between his legs, slight limp. His paw was ground raw. I took him to the vet, no chip, no collar, under a year old. Rescued him. This literally happened to me less than an hour ago. I was at Walmart with a friend and he needed to buy some ham. It was a supercenter. Yes, I know buying produce meat at Walmart was my first mistake, but it's the closest convenience store. We go up to the counter and the lady is obviously too busy putting rotisserie chickens in plastic containers to acknowledge us. So I say, "Excuse me," not rudely, just to get her attention. She looks up like I just called her a thunder C-word or something and comes over all irritated. I say, "Can we get a pound of honey-cured ham, please?" Yes, I said please. I'm not recreating this to make me sound like a better person. She's clearly distressed by the whole ordeal, having to open the display, grab out the ham, stuff that is physically taxing. Then she says, "Do you want that cut 1 or 2? I've never been asked that before, so I thought she asked if I wanted 1 pound or 2. So I replied, "Just 1 pound's fine." "No, do you want it cut 1 or 2? She literally yelled the question at me. Took me a second to realize that meant the thickness of the slices of ham, but I had no idea which one was thinner. I'm still trying to be nice, but I'm slowly losing it. I just ask, "Which one's thinner?" She doesn't even reply, she just goes back and starts talking crap about me to her other co-worker, who seems nice, but probably heard the bullcrap version of the story. The lady comes back with the ham, slams it on the scale, puts it in the bag and sends me on my way. The thing that made me think I don't want to live on this planet anymore wasn't the frustration or the yelling at me, it was the fact that she expected me to know what 1 and 2 meant for the fricking slicing machine. I mean seriously, who the frick expects people to know the exact specifications of their sliced meat? I was driving down a road and this guy was coming towards me on the right-hand side at an upcoming intersection. The road he was coming from was a small road leading from a store. I was on the major road, he had a stop sign. I didn't. He blows through the stop sign, turning right in front of me without even so much as looking either direction to see if the road was clear. Or signaling, but I guess that's to be assumed at this point. I had to slam on my brakes and would have hit him, but I laid on the horn, he saw me, put his foot on the gas, and the collision was very narrowly avoided. If you're gonna blow a stop sign, at least look to see if other vehicles are coming. My 14-year-old daughter, who lives most of the time with her mother, my ex, and stepfather, recently invited me to go to an anime and Japanese culture convention with her. Even wanted me to wear my ninja gear for some cosplay. She was super excited about it, and since it's happening on a weekend when she's with me, I said, "Heck yeah, I'll go with you." Unfortunately, I have to involve the ex and stepfather in the process. As soon as I start trying to plan the logistics with them, I get a call from my daughter using my ex's phone and she tells me now that she doesn't really want me to come after all. I strongly suspect she's got in trouble for inviting me and her mum forced her to do that second part. I truly hate that woman. I was doing work at Starbucks, minding my own business. Despite the fact that I have headphones in and I'm ignoring him, this guy takes a seat across from me at this 2-person table. He starts hitting on me and yelling so I can hear him over my music. My sweater is opened, and as I shift to look away from him, the port in my chest, at the time I was on chemo, becomes visible. He sees it and starts telling me that I'm a hideous monster, I shouldn't be allowed in public, and calls the attention of the barista, asking him to kick me out for his personal safety. Yeah. Recently brought a few chickens. The second day they were here, the usual neighbor kids came over to play. I sat down and feed the baby, and about 10 minutes in I have to get up because I hear kids screaming and chickens losing it. I walk back out to a dozen children I don't know, 4 of which have busted my hen run and are in with the chickens. One kid has a hen by her wing. She flaps, he lets go, and then he kicks her. Needless to say, I was upset. Without leaving my porch, I said, "Get out, all of you!" I don't know what makes you think it's appropriate to hit someone else's animal. I don't know what would make you think it's okay to do that to any animal in general, but it is in no uncertain terms not okay. I don't know who you are, but get the frick off my property. I tell my kids and the neighbors' kids they play with that no one's allowed in the backyard. I go back inside to feed the baby. I'm not even sat down yet and I hear the fridge door open. I say, toddler's name, no snacks right now. Guess what? Not my toddler. Some neighbor kid I don't know just walked in and opened my fridge. Now, he wasn't the crap that kicked my chicken, but he was in the run. I kicked the kid out. As I open the door to escort the fridge raider from my home, the chicken kicker shows up with his mummy. You B-word, you think you're so much better than my son? How dare you tell him what to do? I'm gonna call the cops on your butt. I tell her, calmly, that I probably shouldn't have sworn at her son, but he can't just go around kicking animals. She leaves to call the cops anyway. Comes back 15 minutes later, says she wants to settle this like adults and will consider $100 to cover the mental anguish from my yelling at her son. I tell her to just call the cops and have them deal with it. I get called a B-word again and she leaves. In short, kid kicks my chicken, I tell him to leave, his mum wants $100 for mental anguish from me yelling at him. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories, or if you want some vibey music to put on in the background, check out easymode. If you like Am I the Genius, give Am I the Jerk a shot. Everything linked in the description.